Hello, welcome to the August webinar. And for this August, will be data analysis versus business analysis versus business intelligence versus big data. There's a lot of confusion around these four things. I I constantly come across people who say, "Oh, Michael, what's the difference between data analysis and business analysis?" Then there'll be some other people. It's what is the difference between data analysis and business intelligence? And the one that is really common is what is this big data? And so today I'll be sharing with us from my experience interacting across all these four different. I'll be showing you from a practitioner's perspective and also uh, well founded in technical differences where they are different. Who really is a data analyst, who really is a business analyst, who is a business intelligence analyst, and what is big data. Okay, so this is again just a little background about me. For those of you who this is not your first time joining our webinar or watching any of our event video recordings, you might be familiar with this. But for those who maybe this is the first time, just a little introduction. I'm a full-time business data analysis consultant. I'm also a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. If you want to reach us, that's our phone number 0700 Analytics. Of this webinar, we can access it via YouTube. So let me not read the long bio, so you can read that at your own time. Global business is powered by data. Data is the new oil. You have to competitive intelligence businesses this 21st century where we are now need to make more use of their data. You have to be lean, you have to make the maximum use of your data, know where to you can squeeze out a lot more revenue, see opportunities before others. And all these things can come to be only when you are able to get insights from the data around your operations, around customer behavior, market research. And that's what I'm trying to project here, that data is now in surviving in this 21st century as a business. And the ability to analyze data is very vital if you want to play in the corporate world, either as a business owner, as an employee. As long as you hope to become someone who will make management decisions or support management decisions, you need to be able to speak data. Everybody just has an opinion, but with data, you've taken it above an opinion. It's now something we can have confidence in. So this is more like an advert for us, our business data training analysis. We do a business data analysis training every month. So if you're interested, we target people who are business managers, finance analysts, business analysts, project managers, sales executives. So let's go into today's webinar. We have a question. Also, there's a question box webinar where you're watching me with. So every time I'm done with a particular set of, when I'm done with data analysis, I'll go check to see if anyone has asked any question. I think it is a good time to check if anyone has asked a question or if anyone is having trouble joining. Okay, so check. All right. So if you have any question, I'll be able to see if you use the Q&A, and I'll be able to see any question you ask. So I'm trying to. So if you have any question, you can drop it as a chat message. For now, it seems no question. Continue. Okay, so I'll continue. All right. So data analysis, what or sometimes also known as data analytics, and some people also call it business analytics. But I'm not using the word business analytics here because that is very confusing for so many people. It's for you to differentiate business analytics from business analysis. So I'm sticking to the traditional terms, data analysis or data analytics. So what is data analysis? I'm going to quote some very sources so you don't think I'm cooking this up. So I'm going to give us from some different sources what the definitions are. So from Wikipedia, data analysis is the process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data with the goal of suggesting conclusions and support decision making. Some terms in there. It's all about starting from your inspecting, cleaning the data, transforming the data, modeling the data to come up with information, insights, conclusions that will help you make an intelligent decision. So let's check investor words. Investor words says data analysis is the process of extracting, compiling, and modeling raw data for purposes of obtaining constructive information that can be applied to formulating conclusions, predicting outcomes in business, scientific, and social science settings. So it's similar to the Wikipedia definition. Again, we are extracting, compiling, modeling data for the purpose of coming up with insights that we can now apply to make decisions either in the business in world, scientific world, or in a social science setting. Then the Office of Research Integrity, it's one of the agencies in US, and this is their own definition for data analysis. Data analysis is the process of systematically applying statistical or logical techniques to describe and illustrate, condense and recap and evaluate data. The same as those other definitions. You are taking the data, you're applying some models, statistical in this case, you're using statistical or logical techniques. These are essentially models to come up with insights that and illustrate insights from your data. Ultimately, to be so that you'll be able to do something more with the data, like come up with some conclusions that will help you make in an informed decision. So, business dictionary. Data analysis is the process of evaluating data using analytical and logical reasoning to examine each component of the data provided. You are working with the data, carrying out some processes. So evaluating data, and you're using some methods. So this is more like models again. So the whole of this evaluating data is what Wikipedia called uh, compiling, cleaning, and then coming up with models for which you will use to which you use to come up with something to support your decision based on outcome from each component of the data. This is a little twisted definition. So, but the end point is also again to help you make better decision. So, having in mind all those definitions, what really is data analysis? Data analysis can be simply explaining this, what you're seeing here, this stepwise illustration. It involves you getting the data. So you gather the data first, then you go on to the next phase of carrying out data cleaning, transforming, so that it can be useful. You might put it through some model to make it work for uh, in the kind of way that you can carry out analysis on them, and then analysis, you come up with insights which you can take further to hook it up to a business decision process, and so it can drive some business decision process. Is all about you working with raw data, carrying out some structured analysis. So that's while people study data analysis, you go learn the different structures, the different models. You learn the theoretical basis of analyzing data. So a lot of what you will be doing will be involving how you gather data, and the process you'll be learning will be much more of how you clean, transform, run them through models, and then to support a business decision, or it could be in a scientific setting, or or an NGO. So that would be social value, right? This is data analysis. There's nothing more to it than what I've. So what does a data analyst do? Number one, they specialize. If you notice all those definitions I give, they focus a lot more on the processes. You gather the data, you clean the data, you run them through some models to draw an informed decision in a setting, in a specific setting. So the field of specialization is so wide, nobody can be, no matter how very good you are, you can't be able to learn all the techniques needed in all the different settings. So first of all, data analysts, they specialize. There will be someone who say he deals business data. Like that's what I do. I specialize in business data, meaning my analysis is all geared towards helping business managers, helping management to make better business decisions. There will be someone else who plays in the so it does, maybe he works with WHO or he works with UN, but essentially for him it's more about social value. How can we, impact the most number of people with what we have? So for him, specialization is not really towards a profit and loss kind of scenario, which is what the business data analyst will be focusing a lot more. For him, it's more about impact in the social sphere. And there will be some other people who their own is purely academic research. So they do a lot of analysis that are just for that. So for them, everyone, we have specialized tools, techniques that are all major domains. So that's why a data analyst will specialize. He's going to pick where he wants to focus his data analysis skill in, because there's so many tools, you can't learn everything. So once you know where you want to specialize, then you can begin to tailor your learning in that direction. Steps is the same. This is the illustration of what everyone will do. It's just the tools required and the methods that are different based on where you specialize. And so that's what I'm explaining here. There are no hands to tools and mathematical methods to carry out data analysis. From social value-based data analysis that a UN analyst will focus on, behavior analysis, someone who is in the e-commerce sphere or a telecom sphere will focus on, to someone like me who might just try to want to focus a lot more on just the general business data analysis. So once you've decided where you want to focus on, then you begin to train yourself along that line, learning the tools, tools needed for that field you've chosen. So to become a data analyst, do you need to go back to school? What I mean is, do you need to have an academic training, maybe a degree, or go back and get a diploma? The answer is yes and no. In terms of the foundational principles you need to learn, you need to have some form of formal training. It might not be the traditional university setting, but it's not something that you should undertake as something that you learn on the job. You need to make deliberate effort to learn it in a formal setting. So you can decide to take it as an online course. Like Coursera helps a lot with this. And so you need to learn the foundational principles that apply to all kinds of data analysis, regardless of specialization. And then there's the part where you can now begin to do some self-study afterwards to how you deploy it in the business domain or in the domain you've chosen. So it's the same kind of pattern I followed. So I learned the foundational principles. Luckily for me, I was already working in the business domain, so I already had somewhere I can be deploying them. But for someone else, then he has to take that extra initiative of finding where to apply what he's learning, because you can't learn in school. You have to be, these things you are learning, you have to be able to translate it into value for a business if you're choosing to apply it in the business world. So that's why I say yes and no. There's the aspect where you have to have a formal training towards. Then there's the other aspect where you have to learn it on the job. What tools do data analysts use? The tools data analysts use fall into three broad categories. They are the tools that help you with the data gathering, storing, and retrieval. Tools that help you with the data cleaning, transforming, and analyzing. And then there are the tools also that help you with data visualization. Visualization is more about in a visual way the insights. So a common way is charts. So you show via charts what the insights from the data are. And then forecasting tools. So workflow tools are when you hook up the result of your analysis to more like a decision making system. If this happens, then this decision making system should take this other step. Like in oil and gas industry, if you're building a big project, you will do there's some data analysis work you will do where they will want to hook it up to a decision making system where, oh, if this reaches this level, then maybe something should shut down this particular station. So that is what we mean by workflow tool. So there are some tools that allow the integration of that. So often you get across more than one category. Even Excel, as crude as Excel really look, work across all the three categories. It's just depending on how very good you are with Excel. Like for this third category, even the workflow, you need to be maybe very good with VBA. And then you can program it to carry out decisions when something happens. So, but there are other tools. There's R. R is really very good for data gathering, cleaning, transforming, visualizing. Even these three categories you can deploy R to, right? There's Nime, there's Python, Tableau, Power BI, AutoRx, RapidMiner. There are so many tools that a data analyst can use. That was why I was saying of tools. There are so many tools, and each area of specialization, we always have tools that are very good for them. And then another field like SPSS, social. If you work in the social value sector, you'll be using a lot of SPSS. You use it a lot for social research, analysis of social data. But if you're working in a business environment, tailored suit for business deployment. So different specializations have different tools optimally deployed for them. So that is it about data analysis. So let me check if you have any question. I'm going to go check now. Okay, so it seems no question yet. Okay, so going back to the webinar. Next is business analysis. What is business analysis? Business analysis, luckily, they even have a body, an international body that bothered with the whole field of business analysis. And according to them, the IIB, International Institute of Business Analysis, business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an organizational context by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. And according to Wikipedia, business analysis is a research discipline of identifying business needs and determining solutions to business problems. I hope you are beginning to see some common terms. Business analysis is all about identifying a need, solutions, and recommending solutions to the value stakeholders. Nothing mentioned there about gathering data, analyzing data, doing charts, or coming up with insights from data. So let's go on. I'm going to go to the third one, Business Analysis Training Solutions Company. And so according to them, business analysis is the task of understanding business change needs, assessing the business impact of those changes, capturing, analyzing, and documenting requirements, and supporting the communication and delivering of requirements with relevant stakeholders. This is a very well broken down definition. A business analyst bothers more about understanding a business change need. A company is trying to organize, or they're trying to position themselves better in their industry. And then they engage a business analyst, maybe internally or as a consulting business analyst. And he comes and understudy the business processes in the company. And then, so he understands what again are the business changes that are required. It does some kind of documentation of, okay, what is the of cost to benefits, uh, cost to benefit analysis of the different options the business has, and so different changes, the different impacts they will have on the business. So it's a lot more of research, documentation, coming up with requirements, recommending and communicating with stakeholders how to go about implementing the recommended uh, recommended solution. Business dictionary. Business dictionaries, according to them, business analysis is investigation into the operations of a business to expose the causes behind the results achieved, results on the business. Again, it's similar. You are doing a form of investigation, understanding the business operations of the company, and then coming up with ways to improve operations, and then things that the company can do. What will be the resulting effect of your recommended options, recommended solutions? Going through all this definition, analysis. Business analysis is about identifying business needs, carrying out research, identifying possible solutions, then recommending and guiding the management, guiding whoever will be involved in carrying out the solutions you've recommended, guiding them in implementing the best solutions. So, business analysis is of all these four different things I'm mentioning: business analysis, business intelligence, and big data. Business analysis is the one that is really, really different. Some people have a tough time understanding that this is what it is. Is somewhat similar to project management. So there is so much. It's not so much of a technical, unlike data analysis and the other ones. This is a lot more of you researching, understanding business need, coming up with requirements, coming up with recommendations, and then all the different stakeholders involved in implementing the best solution. So what does a business analyst do? So yeah, think about a project manager. Ensures the prompt and within budget delivery of a project. But who determines whether to go for that project? Project manager has been given a goal. This is the project we are delivering. His work is to make sure that everything necessary to get it delivered on time and within resources put in place. But who determines which projects to even go for? And that is what more uh, of the work of a business analyst. That's the kind of things he does a lot more of. So identifying what projects are profitable for the company, identifying what change projects, what orientation strategy should we go for, what kind of positioning what projects should we go into on a more macro level, right? And then the company and on how to go about it, engaging all the different people, strategic units and management who have to play a key role in carrying out the change orientation project. So that is who a business analyst is. So should you go back to school, analyst? The answer is no, because for a business analyst, it's a lot more of on the field knowledge. It's something that you acquire a lot more on the job. So the kind of trainings you'll be going for are more of professional training classes, not like you go back to university to go do a degree in becoming a business analyst. Though there is business analysis degree, but in the professional world, business analyst role, it's slightly different. You know, in the business world, as a business analyst, when you go to certified business analysis professional certification exam, the things they evaluate you on are really different from the kind of things you learn bachelor in business analysis. So that's why for this role in the business world, it's a lot more professional training, and because you'll be doing a lot more similar to project management, except that it's not like you have a set budget and then you have to micromanage resources. It's more about the big picture. So how you paint the big picture for everyone, how you make sure everyone buys into the idea, sees that there's a need for us to align to this change, and then drive through a strategic change. So you'll be doing a lot more of point of contact among different units and driving through a change, coming up with recommendations, with business cases to back up why we need to do this. So what are the tools a business analyst use? You need to have a lot of very good writing and communication skill. You'll be managing and aligning a lot of divergent opinions. You'll be working with different units in a company, management, and those below management. And so you will have to do a lot more of soft. It's not really technical. You're doing a lot more of coordinating between different departments in a company. And for most of what you will need, and tools are a lot more of just on the job training and professional training. So for me, I recommend these two books. I have these 7 steps to mastering business analysis because I was trying to branch into this industry in 2012. So that was how I got to know a lot more about it. I researched, I checked out, and when I got to know that this is really what business analysis is, I found out that it's not what I want to do. So, but this book is one of the most highly recommended book, and this is the one for if you want to do the CA, yes, CBAP, CBAP, Certified Business Analysis Professional. The body certification body is IIBA, and this is their study guide. This is the book you probably end up needing to read for the certification exam. Next is business intelligence. So let me check if there are any questions. Okay, so no question. Next is business intelligence. So what is business intelligence? According to Tech Target, business intelligence is a technology-driven process for analyzing data and presenting actionable information to help corporate executives, business managers, and other end users make more informed decisions. So again, it's kind of similar to data analysis, which when I of what business intelligence is, you will see there's a lot of overlap. In fact, it's more like a stretching of data analysis. But let's bring out the key points here. Again, you are analyzing data, you're working with data, and you are coming up with actionable information, coming up with insights to help corporate executives, business managers to make better, informed business decisions. According to Wikipedia, business intelligence is a set of techniques and tools for the acquisition and transformation of raw data into meaningful for business analysis purposes. So it's similar to, again, you're working with data to come up with useful information for business purposes. According to Gartner, one of the leading uh, advisory agencies in the so business intelligence is an umbrella term for is an umbrella term that includes the applications, the infrastructure and tools and best practices that enable access to an analysis of information to improve and optimize decisions and performance. So again, you're coming up with insight analysis to drive business decision making and performance. According to HOLAP, business intelligence refers to technologies, applications, and practices for the collection, integration, analysis, and presentation of business information. And the purpose of it all is to support better business decision making. Business intelligence. That's why I say it's a lot similar to data analysis. The only thing is it takes it a step further. So you're doing data analysis essentially, right? But the focus is a lot more on process. So you're automating the process, and then you're also not just leaving it to the end user to make use of the insights. You're also, you know, with the you're focused more on management, business decision makers. So you're presenting the insights in a way they can understand. So there's a lot more emphasis also on the communication of the insights you've gotten. So in business intelligence, it's very important that you're able to easy to grasp way, not just in terms of easy to grasp way, but even the platform of communication. You can't use a tool that is not readily accessible to everyone. So most of the business intelligence tools which we'll go into next to, they always have like an extension that makes it easy for access it on the go. Maybe a web app. They can access it from the internet, from their iPhone, iPad, or even as a phone app, or they even are able to get it as automated deliveries into their inbox. You know, insights that matter to them, with the aim of driving management decision. So business intelligence, you're automating the data analysis process. You're presenting the insights with much more aimed at management to drive management decisions. What does a BI analyst do? You have to do everything the data analyst does, but on top of that, he has to make sure it's all automated. So he has to make the process automated because in management decision, there's a lot more emphasis on real-time data. They want information right now of what is happening right now. Unlike a data analyst, the data analyst might just be looking at historic data and just coming up with insight, and that's the end of it. There's no, like in an academic setting, this is a lot more common. They just want to look at historic data, come up with a model, and that's it. They are not really bothered about it must be up-to-date data, it must be real-time data. But in business intelligence, it must be real-time data because management wants to see what is happening right now for their business operations usually. So you have to automate it. That's the only way you can get real-time analysis, especially in processes that involves a lot of complex data analysis steps. And then again, you have to make sure that the insights are easy to grasp for management. The audience is the management, business decision makers. And again, usually you will have to provide a way for them to ask questions, like drill down to see from one high level to maybe levels below, in multiple levels, what is happening, and they can have that thing about their business operations. Okay, so that's it about a business intelligence analyst. So should you go back to school to become a business intelligence analyst? So same for the data analysis role is a yes and no answer. Yes, because you will be doing what a data analyst does too. So you will need to have those foundational knowledge that the data analyst also will have gotten. So the foundational knowledge as regards data analysis. So you know what tool to use, what model to use. And those things have to come in a formal, structured learning. It's not something you should stumble in. So because if you try to at the work, you end up using maybe one tool for every situation, or you use the wrong tool for for what you are doing. And the managers care a lot more about simplicity. So there's also the business side. So there's the no part where comes only from you being in management environment in that business, having the knowledge of the business domain, something you cannot get in an academic setting because you will be communicating the value to managers. So what tools do BI analysts use? So analysts, because they are essentially doing data analysis, but emphasis on having it automated and also display the results in easy to grasp way for management. So they are lucky they are able to have uh, tools specifically built without goals in mind. Popular ones are Power BI, Tableau, Spotfire, Sisense, Click, Domo, Salesforce, SAP, SAS, and those are the tools if you are in the business, because business intelligence analyst again is more like a specialized role in terms of course for the business domain. So as a BI analyst, you'll be concerned a lot more. You'll be getting to work a lot more for businesses rather than maybe research bodies. Well, those in the social sphere, maybe UN, WHO, NGOs, they might use it too, but a lot more business environment because for them it matters a lot. So in the social sphere too, you would use it, but in that case, again, it will, you're a business person, you'll be looking at it from the eye of a business manager, getting the most value for them. Okay, so let me check if there are any questions before we move into big data. Okay. Okay, so there's a question. What will the focus at school be for a data analyst or a business intelligence analyst? For the academic aspect of it, for the foundational knowledge aspect of it, where you shouldn't try to learn that on the job. So what course should you do? I hope that's what you mean. Okay. Nowadays, we even have courses specially for data analysis. So you have data analysis. That would be a very good one. If you are trying to focus on big data, you're even fortunate. You can have ones that are already focused on big data. So you get big data analysis. You can take it as a master's program. You can do it as a 6 months diploma program. So they give you a certificate, but it's not really like so it's more like just a 6 months program focused essentially on on data analysis, and then you and then you get the foundation. So those two and a business intelligence analyst, they need that kind of, if you want to go into the school, go back to school to learn, those are the kind of things you want to get. Data analysis, a lot of people do masters in it if you want to really get a very big job in that role. Because if you want fair, the hiring managers, especially if you want to work with investment banks, they put a lot more value on programs that run for say 2 years or a degree program. But most people, they feel much more comfortable going to do a master's. So, and for a master's in data analysis, they only just need you to maybe have an engineering or a number related, a science related, maybe statistics, mathematics, or any engineering course. But some are a lot more liberal, so they might take you even if you have a degree outside of those ones, but maybe you have some work experience along the line of data analysis, or they might foundational training. Maybe you do some foundational courses to teach you statistics and some mathematics, basic algebra that will be required for the higher learning you'll be doing. So it's the same for business analysis and data analysis. The only difference is just in the deployment. As a data analyst, you might not need to bother so much about making your report easy to grasp for management, or all those other requirements of having it real time. So for data analysts, your requirements can be anything, just analyzing historic data, someone trying to do a research on stock market, trying to build a model, might just want you to analyze the last 100 years data, historic data of stock market. For him, he doesn't care so much about real time. What he wants is you come up with analysis, come up with models that can explain maybe what happens during this specific economic period, what happened at another economic time. So for him, his requirement is not of real time, or it maybe doesn't even bother about graphs. It just wants you to come up with a formula it can use to take and build up a portfolio. But for a business intelligence analyst, no. For his own work, he will be doing a lot more of bringing out insights that are up to date. Why he will need to do a lot more of automating the processes. So such that the moment the data are being captured, his business intelligence process solution is getting those data, running very fast those analyses, and making it immediately available for business decision makers to consume. So he has to know a lot more about charts more than maybe a data analyst. Might not be very good with charts. Some might not even, they might tell you most of the projects they've done, maybe they don't do charts that much. So, but for business intelligence analysts, data visualization is very key. Management will be the end consumer of your result, of your report, of what you've done, your analysis. There's a lot of premium on that. They don't want to have to be the one to start to see the insight, and that's what data does. I mean, chat does. It makes the insight flow easily. And I'll tell one other thing about business intelligence analyst is also it might need to bother a lot also about workflows, how he hooks up his final result with some making system. Like if you use Power BI allows you to hook things up with workflows with, I think they call it action, is it term? I've forgotten the term. So if you run your business and you want it such that whenever your inventory is below this particular value, to reorder or send you an email that inventory is low, you guys should restock. So for a business intelligence analyst, that kind of requests are very common. So he has to be a little knowledgeable on how to interface with those kind of workflows. And so we can go back. I hope I've answered your question as well as probably you wanted. Let me see if any more question. Okay, so I'll go back and we'll round up with the last question. So what is big data? According to SAS, one of the very big software company in this data analysis industry, big data is a term that describes the large volume of data, both structured and unstructured, that inundates a business on a day-to-day basis. So emphasis on large amount of data. And then also it can be of any different format. So as a big data analyst, you will be working with data of different forms. It could be images. What we mean by structured is structured in, let me explain structured. Structured means the regular ones we are used to, you can arrange them in rows and columns, and they are like figures, they can be figures or text. You can stick them in you can stick them in Excel sheet, let me put it that way. But unstructured, the a video, maybe even a language, sound, those kind of things are not easy to analyze because they are not the kind. When we think about data, that's not what comes to our mind. You don't think about picture, you don't think about video, you don't think about image. But in big data, about that, they become important. So when you learn big data, you have to also know how to handle those kind of data. And then it comes, in huge flow. That's why the word unidate was used here. So it comes on a day-to-day basis. When I show you the other definitions, some of them will emphasize that this aspect more. So Wikipedia says big data is a term for data sets that are so large, traditional data processing applications are not able to handle it, are inadequate. Okay. The same thing, large amount of data, complex. When we say complex, both structured, unstructured, and then beyond what our traditional data processing applications can handle. Gartner says big data is high volume, high velocity, or high variety information assets that effective, innovative forms of information processing that enable enhanced insight, decision making, and business and process automation. Into lots of data, and then they broke it down into high volume. So it means it's a large amount in volume. Then high velocity. High velocity means it comes in a large amount at a time. So maybe per second you get hundreds of it or thousands of it. So a good example could be, yes, and a good example would be the transactions that happen. In the payment processing industry, Mastercard, Visa card, they are like the biggest one. So in a second, they might be handling millions of transactions. So every second, there are millions of records of transactions that are flowing into their database, meaning a lot of data coming in per second. And then high variety means different variety. Some are text, some are numbers, some are pictures, some are maybe videos. So different forms. That's what it means by high variety. And you want cost-effective way, you know, of analyzing them because you can't use your traditional processes. And so it's essentially the same with those other definitions, just the way they broke it down here. Okay. Then Webopedia. Webopedia says big data is a phrase used a massive volume of both structured and unstructured data that is so large it is difficult to process using traditional database and software techniques. What the other ones have said. But this is big data. Big data has these very three key characteristics. Volume, large amount of records. So large that you can't put it in Excel. So forget about the Excel. Though now, well, with Power BI, with Power Query, you can make Excel handle some large data, but you want to be a big data practitioner, you have to forget about Excel because it's more like you're using it for what it's not meant for. So huge volume, beyond what your traditional software can handle. Velocity meaning, so much per time, per second, a large amount of data coming in per second. And your system must be able to handle that too. And variety means different forms. Some are texts, some are images, maybe some are sounds, some are of different form conceivable, right? So it's all those together form big data. What does a big data analyst do? A big data analyst does everything the data analysis do. It's just that it does it on a more complicated level because the data is working with is larger, is of, and then the traditional data analysis tools cannot handle them. The tools I use for my data analysis consulting jobs, I can't use them for big data. I can't use Excel when you're dealing with it's just as if you want to give yourself a headache. It's not suited for it, even if you can make it work for it. And so, let alone if you call yourself a big data analyst, the moment you say it's Excel you use, whoever knows what big data is about will no longer consider engaging you for any service. So it requires a lot more also technical knowledge and even some programming skills compared with the others. This one, the tools you'll be needing, because the data are so much. So for you to be able to work with them and get them to do something reasonable in a reasonable amount of time, you need to have a lot of technical knowledge about how system works. The database will be built most likely from scratch, suited for your kind of big data work. And then you will need to know some programming languages because this is almost like a new field. So you don't have so much already off the shelf solutions. You don't have something like that. It's like plug and play that you can pretty much use for many scenarios. So to be able to build them a considerable amount of what you'll be using yourself. Should you go back to school for it? Again, yes and no. Big data analyst, yes, to go and learn the fundamental parts, the principles, the fundamentals that cut across all data analysis work, regardless of field of specialization. Also to learn some of those technical tools you'll be needing to use, the new technologies that have popped up that are suited specifically for just big data. And then know in terms of the aspect of it, if you want to be a big data analyst, you also need the field knowledge. You can't just go to an academic environment and you come out and you say you're a big data analyst. No one is going to take you seriously unless you've had to deploy it in a high moment where there's a demand for the value of what you are doing. So it's not like you're in an academic environment, you do things to show that you understand them. In the business environment, you do things to pass on value to some other people above you, management. People need to make decisions based on what you've done. So the emphasis is not on, oh, I know this tool or I can do it. Man, they don't care whether it took you 2 weeks or 1 week or 1 month to get it done, as long as you get it done before maybe end of semester or before assignment deadline. But in the business environment, it don't matter. The resources you use matter. So in this case, there's that aspect of big data analysis that you can only get to learn on the job. So what tools do big data analysts use? So currently the common ones are Hadoop Spark to set up the system for the analysis part. The analysis you'll be running, the computing analysis, that's the technical term. Because when you're working with large amount of data, speed matters in the business environment. So Hadoop and Spark are systems built specifically for big data analysis to do things a lot faster than your traditional maybe database server or even your normal computer setting. So then we have big data database. So common terms is NoSQL, no SQL databases, but they're also known as big data databases. Databases designed with big data in mind, designed to handle large amount of data. So they're able to work very fast, faster than the traditional ones, faster than MySQL and the regular databases. And then you have platforms that allow you to warehouse those data and also provide you some of those tools out of box that you might need. So like Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, IBM IBM, Amazon Web Services. They allow you to be able to set up a big data analysis suite. Let me use the word suite very fast because they are able to provide you the hardware platform you need. They are able to let you integrate a NoSQL database seamlessly. They provide you access to, you can also integrate all these are programming languages: Python, R, Scala, Java, Hive, Pig. Hive and Pig, more Pig especially is more for uh, uh, is more for the database part. Working with your data, working with NoSQL database, and Hive. I think Hive is works specifically with Spark or Hadoop, big on big data because, like I said, there's the academic side, there's the business side. What I have is a part of the academic side, and it's not even well structured because I had not done a full length course on it. So a lot more of what I know is fragments from the academic segment, that course there, not even finishing them. But as per doing a job that involves me doing all of these, I haven't yet gotten area. In Nigeria here, maybe in 2 years' time we'll catch up. But this is what is similar with these tools. And then there will be some of the tools you will use. There will be other tools, but these are the common ones. And so, in conclusion, it's for you to decide where do you want to play. Look at your current business skills. It doesn't make sense for you to start from somewhere. It's better to start from where you are rather than having to now, have to go back again and go start, forget about what you already know and go do something completely different. So if you're already along the path of, like for me, it was a lot easy for me to BI analyst. Go. Though I also do, like I told you, BI analyst will do also data analysis, but BI analyst is also focus a lot more on delivering value for management and then setting it up in an automated way. So for me, this is where I focus a lot more on. So I know this, but the things I know about in data analysis are specific to the business domain. So you wouldn't see me working with tools that are for academic environment or social research. So my tools are specifically for the business environment. And then I do a lot more of projecting the results, the value to management and helping them to get them. So I do a lot of data visualizations, dashboards, charts, and I use them for those who are willing to let me set up a BI tool for them, Power BI and the rest. I go that length. But those who don't want, I do something of that form in Excel for them. Then there's big data analysis. So it's left for you, where do you have interest? How different they are, what tools they require, what specializations they will put you along the path of. It's left for you to decide, okay, this is my goal, these are where my current skills align to, and then do next. Maybe you want to go get the academic knowledge first, or you want first of all to figure out how you will get an environment where you'll be able to practice it and get the world knowledge, the on the job knowledge. Like for me, I was already in the industry, already working in that industry as a data analyst in 2012, 2011, 2012. I was working as a data analyst, and then I began to branch out from there to be an analyst. Okay. And so that is it for this webinar. And if you want to engage us, maybe for some training, custom programs, so this is our contact, the services we render. And thank you. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Let me check if any question. Okay, so I think no question. Okay. Okay, there's a question. What will the focus at school? Okay, for a company that wants to start big data analytics, what are the things that needs to be in place to ensure they get the benefits from big data in terms of how to store the data that will be used in future for big data analytics? One of the very thing about big data, it requires a complete platform rethink. For a company to want to do some big data analysis, usually engaging the big data analyst is is more like at the end, because they already first have to build up the system in a way that it's relevant, it's big enough. It's just like a bank. If you want to set up if you want to engage as a bank, you already have to have the system in place that captures all the data you want the data analyst to work on. So that's exactly what you're asking. What kind of system then do they need to have in place? So the depends on the kind of data they work with. If it's a, let's say, a bank now, let's say like Mastercard. So like for Mastercard, the kind of data they get a lot more of that are relevant for their operations will be a lot more kind of transactional data, the data, text kind of data, numeric value, numbers, a lot more structured anyway. They will get a lot more structured data. That's what I want to bring up. So for them, they can afford to set up a well-tuned regular database. They could use Oracle, SQL Server database, or MySQL, or Postgre, and they have to set it up in a way well-tuned for that large amount of transactions that they'll be handling. But if you are a company like you're into maybe AI, intelligence, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, an industry where you will be working with even images, videos, uh, like an example is Spotify. I don't know. I said Spotify. Like for Spotify, for them, they will be analyzing music. You won't be using SQL, you won't be using the regular database in that case. You'll be setting up your own in such a way. There's another question now. What's the difference between SQL and NoSQL? I'll also answer that. So for them, now they have to set up their own platform in such a way that the database they'll be working with will be one that can handle that kind of a file system, that kind of data input. NoSQL, so they could use NoSQL usually. So Google has its own different platform, have their own. So that one allows a lot. Easy works better for unstructured data. So it's more about engaging an expert who will come and check out what kind of data you will need to gather and work with, and then understand what it will be in 10 years, 5 years time from now. So you don't have to, in 5 years time, have to rethink the old system all over again. And then it will advise you on the setup. So as for our tools, again, there are different tools, different ways of setting them up based on your company specific requirements or operations, that they will come up with what will be useful for you. And okay, so what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL? So SQL, even the definition, structured query language, there's a lot more emphasis on structure in it, in terms of that the data will have some predefined structure. SQL database, in the beginning, you'll be setting up that this particular column will have numbers. Maybe the numbers will not be more than these numbers. So you specify this column will be text. Maybe it won't have text of more than 200 characters. This one is going to contain maybe. So there's a lot of emphasis on a structure already for that data. So when you're setting up a SQL database, you have to specify the structure. In fact, you have to even create index in a big, if you want it really, if you want to get a lot more performance, make it work very well optimally, you also do some kind of fine-tuning index. So you tell the database that you put an index on a particular column, so it keeps creating an index table to make it such that whenever you want to query the table and you'll be using those particular, it will be faster to give you your result. So there is a lot of emphasis on structure. So it expects you to have data that you already know what the structure will be like, and the structure definitions are even limited, right? If you have a video or sound data or picture data, it give it a blanket name, binary, and it doesn't handle those ones very well. Like I have a website, I build a web application. I have to store my pictures, all those unstructured data in a separate place, and only the link to those data in my SQL server, because SQL server It will really slow them down when you have this kind of unstructured data. Then, so that's where NoSQL comes to play. So it's NoSQL databases built. Sometimes they have this, we call it data lake structure. Just pour in all kinds of data. Regardless, it doesn't put any upfront requirement as to the type of data. It can handle them. So you just pour in the data, and then uh, you will build on top systems that help you to then begin to, it's the system that will begin to sieve out which data is which one and then what to do with them. So if not for time, I could have Googled and showed you some different types of NoSQL databases that will highlight the differences more. 5 o'clock deadline. So it's already 5. So I think no more questions. Okay, so thank you for joining us today. And so next month, I don't know yet what the topic will be. If you have a suggestion of what you want next month, please share with us. So that way we get to do a lot more what's relevant to you rather than me just cooking up something and not knowing whether it will be relevant or not. So thank you a lot for joining this month. We hope to see you next month. Have a wonderful rest of the day.